I want to welcome you all to the international book release. It's happening right now. Thank you so much for coming to my party. This book has been 3 years in the making. And I'm going to talk to you today about what I do, what I get to see, what you don't get to see, and how I put it in that book without violating anybody's privacy. So my name is Laurie McGinley, and I don't make climate solutions. I help the people who make climate solutions do them better, do them faster. I help them learn an entirely new way to achieve that lets them have more energy at the end of the day and be a nicer human on Saturday afternoon, which we all want. So because of that, I get to work with a lot of people who have a lot of capital A awesome. And when I'm talking about capital A awesome, I want you to know that you probably all have it too, but you probably haven't thought about it. I stumbled across my capital A awesome, which is the skill you possess that has the ability to transform the world. When I was in high school, it was a total accident. But as soon as I discovered it, I wanted to use it everywhere. I'm using it right now. See, I discovered that I had the ability to hold more than just myself, a whole lot more people than just me and my heart, and invite you all into a reality that you might not have entered otherwise. And that's where I'm taking you today. So I want you to just pause for a second and think about what your capital A awesome might be. It's your go-to. It's the thing that works every time. It's your sharpest tool. It might be so sharp that you forgot what it is. It might be so amazing that you forgot that at some point you had to learn it, or that other people can't just do it. So I want to tell you a little bit about who I am and then give you insight into who I work with. See, I started using my awesome everywhere, and eventually I ended up running balls out with it. And it's not what you think. Just hold on, I'll explain what balls out is. But I ran balls out with it because it could help me do these amazing things. I got these incredible jobs that I was super underqualified for at the beginning of my career. It helped me leave more skin in the game than my peers and do things that they couldn't do. It helped me motivate and influence and get people to get up and do things. Now the problem is I put so much of myself into it that I ended up running balls out, and I face planted into the Petri dish of burnout when I was 31 years old. I had a stroke at work. And I was a Division I college athlete, a distance runner. That body should not have had a stroke at 31. It was absolutely stress-induced. Now, unfortunately, the stroke was not a wake-up call because I burned out again 7 years later when I was 38 years old. And what burnout feels like or felt like for me, and I want you to know it feels different for different people, it felt like all of a sudden I couldn't access all of the energy I had always had to achieve things. It felt like it was hard to get out of bed and go to a dream job that I loved. It felt a little bit like walking through the day with 3 soaking wet wool blankets on top of my head, a little bit disconnected from everybody, a little bit hard to breathe, a little bit hard to do what I wanted to do. It started to feel like being totally obsessed with work when I was on vacation and not being able to unplug. It also felt a lot like constantly looking around for where I could overachieve and prove myself. And it feels different for different people. But I want to talk to you about running balls out. And I'm serious, it's not what you think it is. We have to dig in a little bit into steam trains in order to explain what this term means. See, it's how you get into trouble with your awesome. Because your awesome feels good, you know how to use it. It's when you take it too far. It's when you're working on something that is bigger than you are, that you're not going to put down, that you're not going to quit. So in the days of steam engines, when they were running across the country and the sun was out and it was time to make hay, you can imagine the companies that owned and operated the steam engines wanted the trains running at maximum capacity for as many hours as possible. Now, that drawing that's up there is a device that was on a steam engine called a centrifugal governor. As the revolutions per minute in the steam engine sped up, that vertical axis would spin, those weighted masses, those steel balls, they would rise because they were spinning, right? This makes sense with physics. So the balls would rise, and when a train was running balls out, it was running just under the tripping point. Because when it got to the top of that thing, it would trip it, let a whole bunch of steam out, the whole train would slow down, the entire operation would be slower. Imagine the person shoveling the coal, trying to run balls out all the time, never taking a break. Can I put more coal in? If I put more coal in, is it all going to shut down? I use this saying when I'm talking about ambitious people because ambitious people tend to run balls out. I face-planted into the Petri dish of burnout twice because I did this for too many decades in a row without knowing how to take breaks. Now, I want to tell you about the people I work with because the people I work with tell me stories like that all the time in private, and they don't want you to know about it. I didn't tell my story about that while it was happening. I didn't want anybody to know I was burning out. I didn't want myself to know that I was burning out. So what's in the book that's on the other side of the lobby over there, nobody's privacy is violated, but it's the stories of 4 different kinds of people and what burnout felt like for them and how to get out of it. So the 4 types of people, ambitious people, that I tend to come across are Olive, the perfectionist. Man, she's got systems on top of systems. She knows what's up. She can track everything. And she's always aware that she might be making a mistake. Her inner critic is absolutely cruel. We call him Evil-O, which is Olive spelled backwards. You might think about what your inner critic is named. Mine's eye roll. We talk about Trip, the hero, always willing to take on. He brings a can-do spirit and tons of energy. He's willing to take on other people's work because he's better at it anyway. We talk about Fiona, the researcher. Now, Fiona is always looking for another book to read or another data set to integrate to make the argument stronger, but she gets in trouble without moving forward with that really strong argument. And we talk about Eisen, the motivator. See, Eisen is always willing to step up and rise to the occasion and really wants to motivate other people around him to do that. So I don't have time to get into everyone, but I do want to talk about Eisen. So I met Eisen at the point when he and his co-founder Sally had built a pretty good EV charging startup company. They'd already had a bunch of employees, and he brought me on because talent retention had become a problem. Now, he knew it was a financial and a time problem for the company, and he kind of thought maybe he might have been part of the issue, but he didn't know how to fix it. And when I met Eisen, and if you did, you would see a very strong person, a furrowed brow person who carried a heavy, heavy weight. And I don't know if you've ever met somebody like this. Their wheels are always spinning. They're always 5 steps ahead of you. And when he walked into the room, you could tell he was ready to go. He was ready to do things. So he brought me on and we talked about what was happening. And I realized pretty quickly that Eisen is the motivator type. You see, Eisen's awesome is that he personally is always willing to put his own needs dead last. He is always willing to stay late, get up early, go the extra mile, dig deep, do more, be more, never rest, sleep when you're dead kind of a person. And his awesome is what had built the company and had gotten him to where he was, but he was definitely running balls out with it because it had become the lens with which he saw the world. He was constantly motivating himself through a feeling of having to prove himself. And the way that it showed up with his team is he was always prodding and poking and suggesting and recommending. We lovingly named his awesome the cattle prod of good intentions. So he didn't mean any harm. He could see in you how you could be awesome, and he wanted that for you. He did. So the suggestions and the recommendations kept coming out. Now, it showed up with Sally because he would constantly suggest to her how she could do more and be more. It showed up with his employees in near constant recommendations about how they could step up and be better at their job. It showed up in himself, obviously, by overachieving. It even showed up at home when his kid was learning how to ride a bike and he grabbed a pool noodle to get him to learn how to ride it faster and poke him with it. Now, what Eisen needed help seeing is that he was burning out. And like I said, none of you want to talk about this. If you're on the edge of it, I get it. I know I didn't want to talk about it either, but it's actually closer than you think. There was a study completed last fall. They only interviewed 159 sustainability professionals, but 62% of them reported being burned out. That's almost 2/3. And ambitious people don't want to think it's coming for you until it gets you, like my stroke at work did. So I want to talk to you about how Eisen got out of this, because you don't have to stay in this. Unfortunately, I didn't choose to heal from my burnouts for a couple of years after the second one. I thought taking a job on the bench and a less stressful job would somehow heal it. That doesn't work, but I'll tell you that story another day. And what I went through with Eisen was to talk to him about how gravitas is for everyone. And I don't have time to take you through the whole lesson today, but I want to take you through one of the tools. But first, let's talk about what gravitas even is. This is a Latin word. It comes from the Romans. It was called a necessary attribute of an effective leader. Gravitas, in a way, today we might call it executive presence, but it's a little bit more than that. It's the ability to calmly show up no matter what is happening, stay creative, stay present, and move a room in your favor. You can imagine why the Romans wanted their politicians to have this. So Eisen was all in on that. He wanted to lead that way. It seemed like a better way to achieve, and so he was ready to go. The hard part is when we got in there, Eisen realized that he was always trying to prove himself, and that was what was getting in his way. So I'm going to take you through the first part of gravitas, which is really about unlocking your inner magnetism. And when you're really stressed out, which people who are working on something that is bigger than you are, a lot of us tend to be really stressed out when we go about this. Your magnet's turned off. I'm going to show you how to turn it on. So I want you to all do this with me. First, I want you to flip through the slideshow of your memories. Can you find a time in the recent past when something didn't go quite right? Maybe actually it went pretty wrong. Just take a second and find something. Everybody got one? Unfortunately, these are easy to find. Now, use your brain and go back to the oh shit moment when you know it was really bad. Pause. What were you thinking about? How'd you feel? How were you behaving? You got it? Okay, put that on the table, hold on to it. We're going to come back to it in just a second. Now I want you to do this with me. I'm going to hold my hands up, but you can do this in your lap. You don't have to hold your hands up like this. Take one pointer finger, touch the palm of the other hand. And I want you to make contact with your hand the whole time. As you inhale, you don't have to do big weird yoga breaths, just breathe. Inhale up to your thumb. Exhale and trace down to your palm. Inhale up to your index finger. Trace down to your palm. If you're brave, close your eyes and really hit this hard. Inhale up to your middle finger and think, I am safe. Exhale to your palm and think, I am warm. Up to your ring finger, I'm safe. Down to your palm, I'm warm. If you really want to hit it hard, try feeling these things. Pinky finger, I'm safe. I am warm. Down to your palm. Keep going around your hand, okay? Start back at your thumb, and I'm going to talk just for a little bit while you keep doing this. See, what Eisen realized when we started the gravitas lesson is that he never felt like this. And specifically what we worked on is the meetings where it mattered the most, the leadership team meetings, the board meetings, the conversations with Sally, with his loved ones. He never felt like this. And what gravitas is showing up where it really matters, the big moments, like this. How's everybody feeling? I hope you did it with me. How's that feel? Yeah? That's the master class on that breath. I triple dog dare you to get really good at it. Now that memory that I had you set on the table, pick it up again. What might have been different if you felt like this? Could you have accessed any different thoughts? Do you think maybe you might have felt different? Could you have behaved any differently? Now here's the really important question. How might the outcome have been different if you had shown up like this? So that's only part of the gravitas lesson. And 15 minutes is not enough time to go through the whole thing. You can get the whole thing here if you want to go through. This is free. This is not going to charge you anything. But what I want you to know, if you are ambitious, if you have a lot of awesome, if you are working on something that is bigger than you are, I see you. I know you're not going to put it down. I know you're going to go the extra mile. I know you're going to dig deep. And I want you to tell this, that what I know for sure from having burned out twice personally and spending a lot of my time talking to people just like you who are in the Petri dish of burnout, it is not worth it Listening, taking the call from that inner critic every time they call and letting them ramble on without an agenda is not how you win. Carrying your team across the finish line is not how you get there. Prodding and poking and motivating and nudging people is not how you keep people working with you. Noticing every missing detail is not how you get it done. All I do is show very ambitious people who are working on things bigger than themselves how to achieve in an entirely new way where you feel a lot more like this. Because when you feel a lot more like this, you unlock a whole lot of things that you forgot about. This is how you get across the finish line. This is how you have new ideas. This is how you stay innovative. This is how you communicate better. You see, when Eisen started doing this, even things like the staff meeting, they got better. He could actually settle in the staff meeting instead of being 19 steps ahead of everybody. He could listen. He could listen and not feel threatened. He could accept that his employees had ideas that it was important to weave them in. He could delegate better so he had less to take on personally. He stopped poking Sally so much so that she could do more and be more. He felt less personally frustrated that nobody could keep up with him. He had better dad energy at the end of the day. So if you're here to do something big, something bigger than you are, what would it be like to do it like this? To have better energy at the end of the day, to be a nicer human on Saturday. And I know you're going to hear from all the other incredible speakers how important adapting and innovating and being creative is. Obviously, that is what we must do as a species in order to still continue to thrive on this beautiful spinning rock. What I know for sure every day and twice on Sundays is the best way to be innovative, creative, and adaptive is to feel well. And we've all been trained to succeed in stress. We've all been trained to dig deep, to hit it harder, to just be meaner to ourselves. That's not how you be creative, and that is not how you innovate. So, thank you again for coming to the global premiere of my book that has taken 3 years to write. It's just across the hall. It has 4 stories of 4 different kinds of people, because it doesn't feel the same. Burnout does not feel the same. It depends on who you are and how you see the world. Thank you.